So, Rich, you're in Twinsburg today?
As usual, yeah. Actually, I've had a lot of travel lately, but I had the whole TMC staff at my house this week.
Oh, you know what, Rich? I have a cousin. That reminds me, I have a cousin who works. She's a actually it's a she. She's a driver for Amazon, and apparently, and this circulated throughout all of Amazon. Apparently, they all share stories on some kind of switchboard or I don't know, some kind of message, bulletin board thing. Did your dog bite an Amazon driver? Because she was telling me that you were mentioned on this bulletin board.
Yeah, I had my team knows Frankie, my crazy, literally crazy.
Frankie, that's right. Frankie bit a driver.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with my whole team at the house. So I think sometimes they think I over exaggerate about what a lunatic Frankie the Frenchie is, but they got a firsthand glimpse today when he got into an Amazon driver. So I'm just awaiting legal documents to be served by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Amazon empire. So
This was some kind of case study. Like I say, it was on the Amazon driver bulletin board. My cousin was asking me about it. Like, do you know this guy Rich? And I'm like, really? Wow. So you're famous among in the Amazon ranks.
uh,
But since so I wanted to continue with the animal uh, chain of thought here, if you don't mind. So you don't know where I am, really, do you?
I don't know. Your shirt matches your background a little bit, though. I don't know if that was intentional. I like it.
It's a Western theme today, and we have a special guest. Rich, are you ready?
Oh no.
Ready, Rich?
Let's go. Is that look at that the horse? It looks like
That's my place. That's my place in the back. In the back
is
there.
it? Okay.
And
Is that an ADU?
that is that will solve our housing crisis right there.
Your first
Actually,
look at a live ADU on the vast Crisman. Is that the Yellowstone Ranch you live on?
I'm on the hills above Reno, Nevada, and there are herds of wild horses or flocks or pods or whatever the heck they're called. And this one apparently is a rogue, feral wild horse who's probably ailing. And well, you can see the scenery around. It's pretty. It's the Wild West, and there you go. There's a remnant of the Wild West.
I'm just waiting to see Kevin Costner scrolling through the background in his Y
Right.
insignia vest, but
Going through the background, speaking like he's got gravel in his mouth.
exactly. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Rich Swerminski with the Mortgage Collaborative here once again with the rundown with Rob and Rich, where we take you into the weekend by running through all the latest in the mortgage industry and wondering always where my esteemed colleague and co-host Rob Crisman is going to show up from.
That's a better angle, right? You got the horse there.
Look at that. Yeah. Some people would say, look at the asses you can see in that. Yeah,
No, there's a joke about that. Anyway, we won't go there on this G-rated show.
So thanks again for joining us. And as always, please feel free to chime in the chat or the Q&A, and we will incorporate it into the show. Rob, I got to start by congratulating your Golden State Warriors all the way back. And if they're, you play a team 3 years in a row in the finals, just the way I'm wired, I'll dislike Golden State until Chef Curry and Clay are 60, 70 years old. But if there's one team that can make me cheer for the Warriors, it might be the Boston Celtics. So you might have me in the Warriors on the Warriors bandwagon here.
Well, it's tough to it's tough to root against them. To especially Steph. I mean,
real easy actually.
Oh well, yeah, whatever. But Klay Thompson had an amazing come back after his injuries and so forth. Same with Steph. Everybody's been hurt this season. So yeah, it was fun to watch. And the Dallas Mavericks, hats off to them, but they didn't quite seem to show up, especially last night. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see what happens starting next week.
Should be a good final. That's assuming the Celtics take care of Miami, which seems like is going to happen. But yeah, it'll be fun, and we'll of course be following it. So, and Rob, you keep breaking big stories. Like, do you consider yourself media? I mean, these organizations that have, like armies of paid reporters, and you keep getting the scoop. If that horse takes a dump live on camera, I don't know. It looked like he was just about to. So sorry, where was I going? Oh, story you broke.
Rich, if there's anyone who knows that a horse is about to do that, I guess it would be you. I don't know. I'm not. I'm not watching this beast. Just let me know if it heads my way. There are dozens of mortgage bankers who are killed every month by horses. So
dozens
anyway. Yeah, I'll tell you, these highfalutin organizations that have teams of reporters and a lot of overhead. Sorry.
Getting closer.
This
is unnerving. I could these same the media outlets could be reporting tomorrow. Rob Chrisman mauled to death, kick stomped by horse on live video.
Right. Where was I? Yeah, they the story today or yesterday about Equifax and misreporting credits. Well, you know what? Allegedly, let's just say allegedly and reportedly and rumored. I mean, so forth. Yeah, it's not particularly good news if it all is true, because you have borrowers who are put into certain loan programs by loan officers who are relying on information from Equifax. And when a borrower gets put into, let's say, a non-QM program at 6% instead of a QM loan at 4% or whatever it might be, that can be a real problem. And when you magnify it by potentially thousands of borrowers, you can have a real problem if it's true. Hopefully it's not all true, and I'm sure Equifax and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will get to the bottom of it if they haven't already. So it is it shows how, I won't say fragile the system is, but how reliant the system is on certain parts. And when something fails like that, or something's wrong, something that lenders and originators rely on, it can lead to problems down the road, some pretty serious problems, and impact a lot of people in not a good way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
If you think of how loans are priced, to your point, right? There's the Fannie Freddie LLPA grid of death, where if you're 719 versus 720, it could be quarter, half point difference. Average loan amount of $250,000, $300,000, probably the GSEs. And if it's thousands and thousands of borrowers that had mispriced FICO scores, a lot of potential legal liability just based off that alone, just going into programs maybe they shouldn't have, or even inside of a conventional agency program, having delivery fees above and beyond what they should be. So something certainly to keep an eye on as we get into next week. So yeah. And then also coming out this morning, the more inflation data we got this morning, the PCE index, which is the media and others will talk more about, like CPI and PPI, but the one that the Fed looks at the most is the PCE, core personal consumption expenditures index, and it was up 4.9% year over year from last April, but fell from March and fell in line with what the Fed has kind of been saying, that, hey, we feel inflation may have peaked. Stock market loved it, and I mean, to your point, inside the report, a lot of things you've been talking about, to your credit, savings rate in America, super high, a lot of people with money that they have saved. The employment market, incredibly strong, wage growth, strong, restaurants, bars, you mentioned the airport and the restaurant parking lots on every show. And one of the economists I read actually kind of spoke to that as well, that listen, people are still spending money in the face of inflation. They had to dip into their savings a little bit more this month to do so. But, essentially making the case that a lot of the other core things surrounding the economy and the labor market are pushing us through this. So stock market reacted very favorably to it. And appears to be some good news going into the holiday weekend.
Yeah, it is a little bit of good news. There is definitely the feeling that inflation may have kind of leveled off, just as rates have kind of leveled off. Nobody can predict the future, but the signs point to we perhaps have seen the worst of 30-year mortgage rates for a while. Perhaps we've seen the worst of inflation. And I made the point the other day in my commentary that the Fed, just by talking about what they plan on doing, they're talking their game, and that has an impact on the markets, and it has an impact on people spending and the inflation rate and so forth. So just the Fed presidents out there on the stump talking about inflation and talking about what they plan on doing. We're going to raise rates, 0.5%, whatever it is. The market, when that expectation gets into the market, investors and people say, "Oh, wait a minute, this is what's going to happen," and the markets don't like surprises. And the Fed presidents who are out there speaking, they tend to eliminate some of the uncertainty that's out there, and it tends to have an impact without the Fed having to raise rates again. I'm not saying they won't raise rates again, but we may get to the point where the inflation drops back down, rates slide a little bit, the economy is still doing okay, and the Fed may say, we're going to pause on our rate increases. The impact that we've seen already from what we've done and what the bond market has done is having the desired impact, and so we're gonna pause at some point, which would be nice. But I think that lenders, and by the way, Rich, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
The wind here, Mariah, they call the wind Mariah, has picked up a little bit. No, we may get to, we may start to proceed through 2022 further. Maybe we've seen the peak for 30-year mortgage rates, but I don't think anybody is expecting them to come back down to something in the twos. The economy would have to be doing pretty poorly for us to see that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, to your point, I mean, I see people, it's hard to go out in public or to a restaurant or to anywhere without seeing people who are out buying meals and renting cars and flying places. And I mean, the airfares have really shot up. Hotels have really shot up, but people are still flying and staying. We're just getting into the traditional driving season, summer vacation season, when folks are heading off to Disney World or Disneyland. So we'll see.
Dow Jones set to snap an 8-week losing streak this week. Good week for the stock market, the Dow, the other major indices. Also, I've seen some mortgage rate relief for the first time in a while. Over the last 10 days, yield on the 5-year, 10-year down a little over 25 basis points. So I've seen some rate relief as well. And in another week that was really kind of winds of change, some of the housing data, new home sales, a huge miss, down 17% in April versus expectations of just dropping like 1.5%. That's a huge miss. That's mostly new builds. And then pending home sales, which is essentially sales contracts that haven't closed yet, were down as well, about 4% month over month, about double the drop that economists were projecting. In general, some other reports about inventories being up a little bit and listing prices being down a little bit. And it feels like I was talking to one of our members this week, and he did, Larry Bashara, who co-hosted Last Week in Mortgage Today with me on Tuesday. He works for a real estate owned mortgage company, and the term he used was just like tired buyers. He was making the point that still a lot of demand to buy houses out there, but I just think you have a lot of people that have just been looking, bidding, and that have just said, you know what, I'm sick of hearing about rates and prices going up. I'm gonna hit pause for a little bit here. That could be contributing to some of this as well. So a lot of interesting numbers that hit the news wire this week regarding housing.
Yeah, no question. It's we're already seeing the increase in interest rates hit housing, whether it's pending home sales, new home sales, existing home sales, all kinds of metrics to look at housing. But I will maintain that regardless of rate, there's a certain segment of the population that wants to own a home. And yeah, I would be tired too if I was always being outbid by all cash buyers, and certainly taking a hard look at these all cash programs where you can rent a balance sheet and pretend to have all cash to make your bid more competitive. So I would certainly be looking at those. But yeah, if you're bidding, trying to buy a house and nothing is falling your way, or the bids you're getting outbid, I would get tired too. But you still probably want to own a home at some level. And as you and I have talked about, I just don't see prices really going down dramatically. They might level off, or maybe only go up 5% a year, which I think everybody in the industry would be happy with. Appreciation that's 20 or 25% a year, that's unsustainable and not healthy. And what happens is a certain segment of the population gets priced out of home ownership, and that segment of the population, unfortunately, tends to be the service workers who are, in service related jobs, whether those are, working in restaurants or gardening or carpentry, whatever it is, and they have to move further and further away because the rent is going up or because they can't afford a home. And that can lead to major problems down the road. So yeah, I think the parts of the economy tend to self regulate, and I wouldn't mind housing appreciation slowing to near zero. I think that would actually be a good thing. Of course, the press will be all over that, saying, oh, house price appreciation plummets. But if it's only going up 3% a year or 5% a year, I would argue that that's preferable to going up 20% a year. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Especially, yeah, the appreciation we've seen the last couple of years, and to start this year, a leveling or just slight appreciation going forward. Certainly, I think the best thing just in general for housing. So this is the Rundown with Rob and Rich. I'm Rich Swerbinsky with the Mortgage Collaborative, joined as always by Rob Chrisman. A lot of funny,
I'm gonna change locations, Rich. Keep talking.
a lot of funny horse related comments in the chat, in the Q&A.
I can't read the screen, unfortunately. But
a question about takeaways from MBA secondary. We kind of did that last week.
This view might be better.
But Rob, we saw a couple confirmations this week as well. Julia Gordon, FHA, and Sandra Thompson, FHFA. We both have been able to spend some time with Sandra, who we've talked about this before.
Well, she's invited you to call her Sandy T, which I think has a lot. That says a lot about the role that the Mortgage Collaborative has in the industry.
It's refreshing governmental housing leaders that want to talk to people that are boots on the ground. That has not been the climate at all in our industry for a long time. So from that perspective, she has been a breath of fresh air. You've told me she replies to your emails within like 5 minutes. Every time we ask her to appear at our conference, she does it. She went the extra step at our conference in Miami in late March, wanting to come in early and have breakfast with our lender board of directors, which was so cool. And literally around the table, genuinely wanting to hear and soak in and hear from our members. So
yeah, I thought that was very neat. And then Tracy King from Partners got up there and introduced her, and she seemed genuinely interested in talking to the group and hanging around beforehand and afterhand. So, or afterward, I guess afterhand doesn't make sense. Afterward. Yeah, it's nice to see. It's good. It's good to see. It's good to have a user-friendly regulator out there in such a role of authority.
Absolutely. A couple questions in the Q&A about mortgage industry will be 20% smaller than it is. This is in terms of like originating companies. By the end of next year. Thoughts on that? MBA now has Q1 profitability. They reported it as 5 basis points. I'm looking for reaction there. I know, a lot of our members are, in the red to start the month. They're treading water and trying to do all the things to make the rest of the year profitable. But obviously, very tough business climate in Q1 from a profitability standpoint for mortgage lenders.
Yeah, I'm on the advisory board of some lenders, and a few of them are saying we'd be happy to break even in 2022. And that is not something that warehouse banks or correspondent investors or wholesale investors or broker dealers want to hear. Break even, that's all you're going to do. But I'll tell you, if you get a quarter or two of losses, the broker dealers and the warehouse banks and the correspondent investors start to take a very hard look at you. And so to break even, maybe that'll be good. But I know it was a rough first quarter for a lot of lenders out there. And regarding the 20% comment, I don't disagree with that. I think we've already seen some pretty dramatic cutbacks. Some are publicized, others are not publicized. There are a lot of companies, hundreds, if not thousands of companies, Rich, that are out there, and they might, certainly they're not replacing employees who leave, and they're taking a very hard look at originators who are only doing 1 or 2 loans a month and costing the company whatever those originators cost the company. So lenders are taking a hard look at marginal producers, and they're saying, gee, if we need 25 underwriters to do 50 files a day, and now we're only bringing in, 30 files a day, we need, fewer underwriters, plain and simple. And when the underwriters are making whatever underwriters make, I don't know, I'll throw out, 75,000 a year or 100,000 a year or whatever, that becomes an easy place to cut back. And some companies are actually having trouble cutting costs fast enough to keep up with the loss in volume. And of course, the MBA is out there giving us statistics about how applications are down week after week. And there have been some upticks, but for the most part, the trend has been down. And on top of that, lastly, many companies have become more efficient. They're using tools, for example, to help underwriters become more efficient and try to save some money. But to the mortgage banker numbers that came out earlier this week, it is amazing because the cost per loan is over $10,000, and it's very, very expensive to originate a loan. So unless they bring those costs down, a lot of lenders are going to have trouble making money throughout the rest of the year. So there will be some cutbacks, but I think what'll be remaining as the year goes on will be, it's kind of like, we're dealing with humans here, Rich, and people that we care about. So this is going to sound a little bit harsh, but when you trim a plant and the plant actually flourishes and has a better outlook going forward, I think that may happen with our industry. If you get rid of some of the marginal producers who are out there, and maybe some of the marginal employees in general, and they find other careers like within a bank or a credit union or other financial service industries, that might be better for the mortgage banking world in general going forward. So it's always changing, right?
Always changing our industry. In the fall of 2020 had to bring so many humans into it out of nowhere. I just remember talking to lenders throughout that, and it was in the spring, send everybody remote on no notice, and then you got into the summer and it was just really, really starting to get busy, and people were bringing people out of retirement. They were, kids, interns, teaching them how to do file opening tasks, and and then now we're kind of seeing the other side of that, and as technology continues to evolve as well. So, but at the end of the day, we're just kind of getting back to the volume level from how things were before the pandemic.
Yeah, 2018, 2019 levels, 2017. That's what I'm hearing companies use as metrics in terms of personnel needed, in terms of cost structure, in terms of expected income. 2018, 2019, looking back at those levels, certainly people who've been in the industry a long time look at 2020 and 2021 as really, years that we'll never see ever again. They were so unusual in terms of volume and revenue and margin. So let's go back to more normal times and move forward. And I think that's a smart outlook.
Yeah, and it's the unique thing about our industry too, just on the profitability side of things and the competition side of things, is unlike a lot of other industries, there's so many different models, from depository to non-depository, and then within each of those, so many different models. And then you have most of the big retail focused IMBs are privately held companies that made tons of money. And, every time I hear our members, which is frequently, lament about, oh my God, I can't, the signing bonuses, and I can't believe the stupid money that's being thrown out there at this and at that. The companies that keep coming up are almost always privately held companies owned by one or two really wealthy individuals that it's that market share game. Throw your weight around, made tons of money, reinvesting some of that back in illogical pricing strategies. And
Frankie, the Amazon biter?
That was not one of my other crazy dogs, but
how many you got there, Rich?
I have three dogs. So yeah,
French. One of those old men who has like a house full of dogs, and you'll eventually pass away and they'll devour your carcass.
I hope not, but
me too. We wouldn't want to see that happen.
It would be good for ratings.
And that's what it's all about on this show, Rich.
I mean, why else would you be broadcasting in a field in front of a live horse that appears capable of boot stomping you at any time? So
the horse has wandered off. I don't know if you can see it over there, but I'm out of harm's way.
This is the Rundown with Rob and Rich. I'm Rich Swerbinsky with the Mortgage Collaborative, joined as always by Rob Chrisman, and just a few minutes left. Rob, also a lot of lenders I talked to this week just examining channel strategies as they.
I'm going to walk a little bit, Rich, while you talk.
Okay. As they get into the heart of 2022 here, trying to make sense of government's role in housing. Did you have a chance to digest any more of the Biden housing supply plan?
I didn't.
No.
You did a very good summary though for TMC members, right?
I did. Trying to just cut through what will never happen and what could have some impact to Joe mortgage lender out there that doesn't want to read through the whole plan. So
yeah, I think earlier this week I was in Sacramento speaking to a room full of realtors, and somebody asked about the Biden administration and so on, and I said, I echoed something I've said on this show a number of times, and that's very difficult for housing plans that are set forth at that level. Joe Biden can say, hey, let's do this, but by the time it filters down to the county or the state, it's very, very difficult. And I think lenders realize that, and lenders would like to see more affordable housing. But as we've talked about, I don't think a lot of builders even know how to spell affordable. So it's a work in progress. Speaking of work in progress, Rich, here's a sign of the times.
Is that your beauty?
Yeah, this is a fixer-upper. I think
Where is Cousin Eddie gonna walk out of that thing?
is what?
Cousin Eddie gonna walk out of that thing?
I don't know.
For our podcast listeners, Rob is wandering through a random field in Nevada and stumbled upon what looks to be a dilapidated and abandoned mobile home.
Yeah, it's I think we've all, this is I don't even know what to say about this, but it's not an ADU. Anyway. All right.
Anything else relevant from your world this week?
Yeah, I think the realtors that I spoke with earlier this week in Sacramento, for a while there, there were fewer listings than there were real estate agents in the United States. But I think that's changed. I think the inventory is actually starting to pick up a little bit, and just anecdotally, what I'm hearing from friends around different parts of the nation is they're starting to see a few more for sale signs. So that would be a welcome sight.
A lot of funny comments in the chat about is Walter White making blue meth in that mobile home. Rob found Jimmy Hoffa. Reno fix and flip.
Oh yeah,
is that your home? Yep. So
I'm gonna here in Reno. I'm gonna head down the hill and visit some vape shops and some tattoo parlors.
There you go. So that's a way to get the holiday weekend kicked into full steam. So, right. Well, it is a holiday weekend. We're going to go a little bit shorter today, but it's good to, it feels like I got to say, we've been talking about so much negative stuff on this show, and, the inflation numbers that were good, not good, but better than expected today. Good week for the stock market. Rates have come down a little bit. A lot of different indicators that housing inventory is starting to pick up a little bit. So a lot of things we've been lamenting about and hoping seems like it this week came together. I'm sure next week that means it's going to be chaos and this will all reverse. But at least
time out, Rich. Time out. Ready? Sorry to interrupt, but I've never seen one of these before.
Oh no!
Can you see that horned toad?
Oh yeah, look at that thing. Well, all our podcast listeners, you really got to come on the live broadcast Fridays at 3, because you never know where Rob's going to show up. And
you can see that okay?
I could see it. Yeah, it looks like a flat back iguana or something. Are you picking that thing? Don't do it.
Oh my God.
It took my finger off. It lunged at me. Oh my gosh.
Somebody in the chat that's evidently familiar with whatever that animal was says it will pee on you if you try to pick it up. And a lot of other people in the chat making
this is value added, Rich. Value added right here.
Oh, too funny. Well, on that note, Rob, good luck getting out of that field and not attacked by something. And any good Memorial Day weekend plans for you?
Just a lot of exercise.
There you go.
A lot of exercise.
Excellent. I'm gonna take us out with some music. So let me know when you guys are done.
Walk on music, walk off music now.
Yeah. So, Rob, you never know where Rob's going to show up to a new level this week. And as always, enjoy the discussion. And we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern with the Rundown with Rob and Rich. And you can find us also on YouTube after the fact, video viewing, and on podcast, where most of you listen, and we're deprived this week because a lot of fun visuals. So, but Rob, good luck and congrats to your Warriors. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.
Sounds good.
All right. Take
Bye.
care, everyone. Have a nice weekend.